All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Can we please sit down? No. All right. We're already off to the races here. Sorry, I just have to put my notes together. Thank you so much for everybody coming here this evening. Your presence here tonight in your numbers tell us exactly how serious you are taking this issue. And I'm very, very grateful for each one of you taking the time to be here tonight, to listen, to raise your concerns in a very respectful way, and to be able to keep the temperature down as much as possible and get your message across. I know exactly from the emails that I get exactly what the concerns are. I know what the pressures are. I know exactly what the threats are in the area, and these are the things that we need to address. Looking at the topic for this evening, which is Waterloo Green, and also the park. I want to add that in because I feel that I can't step aside and kind of dodge that responsibility because that is mine and it is City of Cape Town property. So I need to kind of be responsible for that. So I know that we have several issues here. We have we have safety and security issues, we have environmental issues, we have law and order issues, we have all sorts of issues emanating from these properties. And I think it would be best for you as the community to bring that across and state exactly what the issues are without me having to go through each one of them. I know that the Minister has been briefed on the matter, but it's going to be more important coming from you because I think you will be able to bring that message across a lot clearer. So this evening, as I said before, is all about Waterloo Green and understanding exactly where we are and looking at what the Department of Public Works has planned, what they have done, what they are thinking of doing, and also for you to freely ask questions about the City of Cape Town and myself and what's happening at the park and what plans are in place and what we need to do there. I do have some answers for you. I don't have all the answers, but I can tell you that I am working extremely hard to get that problem solved. So what we want to do today is essentially try and find definitive steps to a solution here, to bring across the message, as I said before, and to come to some conclusions. And I'm hoping, beyond hope, that we can come to some conclusions this evening. I've had a little chat before this with the Minister, and I sort of understand the difficulties now. I've never knew this before, but I understand them now. And maybe, if it's not problematic, he can share those difficulties with us. But let me get to the formalities. I did hand out, did everybody get programs for the agenda? It was on the table. Sorry, I apologize. I was otherwise occupied. So let me be, excuse me. Sorry? The volume. Can I turn up the volume? Okay, can you turn up the volume a little bit more? I'm sticking this almost in my mouth now. But
Start with this.
Okay, let's try that. Hopefully the table doesn't tip over. Are we good? Okay, super. So let me get on with the formalities for this evening. I would like to welcome and I appreciate the fact that the Minister has come here this evening. I'd like to welcome the Honourable Minister Dean Macpherson, who is the Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure. Good evening, Minister. And then, of course, we have the senior DPWI officials, Mr. Dumisani. You see my mouth is dry now, I can't do it. There we go, I think I got it. Okay. Welcome, sir, and thank you for coming. I'm not seeing the law enforcement, I think you just walked in. Principal Inspector Dry from the law enforcement in Wynberg. Thank you for coming, sir. And then from SAPS, we have Lieutenant Colonel Frank, I think. Yes, there we go. Thank you very much, sir, for coming. And the Sector 5 Commander, who is Captain Renting. Thank you, sir, for attending. And then, of course, guests from the media. Thank you for coming and for covering this event. I really do appreciate it. Other interested stakeholders, and of course, most importantly, the residents of Wynberg. Thank you so much for being here and for attending this gathering. So, without further ado, I am going to move on to the remarks by the Minister, and I'd like to welcome you, Minister, and thank you for being here today. Let me just say that the Minister insisted on this meeting. So he's the one that set the date and said we must have it now. So I really do appreciate that. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Councillor Emile. I assume that not too many ministers come through these parts for public meetings. So I appreciate this might be a first. But let me also just say this, that I'm also a resident of Wynberg. My house is in Lonsdale. So I appreciate the beauty and how special this area is. And so I also once was a councillor, by the way, in a former life, and I know how unforgiving and relentless it is and how difficult it is and how difficult public spaces can be to local communities, particularly those that are owned by the government. And one of the things that I said when I came into office was that our public buildings cannot become public nuisances for the public. And they should add value, they should be used by the community, and in whatever shape or form those are. And I think that when we look at the Waterloo Green, obviously it is an inherited problem that we have. But I do want to say that, I think that what we have shown, at least in the interim, is a commitment to do something about it. And you will have seen that we had secured eviction, a court-ordered eviction for people who are unlawfully occupying that space. Now, what we had done is we had, towards the middle of last year, I'd given instruction that was one of the 31 properties that we would pilot to be used or to go out on public tender that could then be used for either development, for donation, whatever the case may be, and people could bid for them. And I'm really, really sorry that when we came to December to adjudicate on those bids, I received an instruction note from National Treasury that the due process had not been followed. Now, whether that had been deliberately so or just through sheer incompetence, I'm yet to be able to get to the bottom of. But that unfortunately pulled the plug on us being able to either dispose, redevelop, or donate that piece of land. And if truth be told, we owe you, the residents, an apology for messing that up. Of course, I don't personally get involved in tenders or adjudications. That would be wrong of me. But I had really hoped that by now we would have made greater progress on it. And I do, maybe just for a moment, if you do get any time or you do read the city press, they did an interview with me on how difficult it is in this department to get these sorts of things going. Because there is, if we're all honest, and if I'm honest with you, there's an interest not to get these things going. Well, not if it's not to the right people, of course. And so that doesn't solve the problem of what's going on here. And I want to give you my commitment, not just as the minister, but also as a resident here, that this must be dealt with. And when I was speaking to my office when I came here, we have a specialized program manager that has been appointed independently of the department, so they do not work for the department, which is good. And they are actually now looking to revive and resuscitate these 31 transactions that we were looking at, of which Waterloo is one of them. Of course, I wouldn't be able to say what is the best use or best outcome for that. I know that the school has bid at least once or twice for it, and I do not know what the other bid adjudications are for it, and I don't want to know what they are, because that must be done in a proper process. However, what I do think that we can do tonight, and what Dumasani will do is commit to a number of actions that we can take in the interim, particularly around demolishing those structures that we can lawfully demolish that are creating problems on that site, as well as ensuring that security is maintained for the property. And I'm going to ask Dumasani to speak to that in a moment. I want to let you know that my view, and this is what I say to the department, is that something like this has to be of benefit to this community. And I want to give you an assurance that whatever is done with it will be done in consultation with the community. So whether it's developed, whether it's donated, we want to run a fair and transparent process that allows people to be involved. And that is notwithstanding the work that we need to do, Dumasani, to be able to maintain what is there in the interim. I do not want to waste public money on perpetually securing a property that is not being put to use. There's much better ways for us to be spending money than employing security guards all the time. And so I'm very grateful also that the SAPS and Metro Police is here. We do, of course, there are heritage issues on some of those properties there, which we do need to take cognizance of. I once tried to do a kitchen renovation and came to meet how difficult heritage is around here. So I'm sure that they will make it equally difficult for abandoned buildings, but we'll try and work around that as well. So Councillor Emile is right. I did call for this meeting because I want to be able to hear from you. I did want to offer a personal apology to all of you that we haven't got as far as we have, and to be able to commit publicly to you. There's always some part of this department that's trying to get to me. And to be able to publicly commit to you that we will do everything that we necessarily can. And because if there's one thing I do take pride of, like I'm sure Councillor Emile does, is we take these issues personally and we take personal responsibility. If we're going to outsource this to officials or branches, these things aren't going to get done. And I do believe that when we get this right, there is something special that can be done with that piece of land, and we want to do it in conjunction with you. But we are here to hear from you, and also for Dumasani to give some inputs on the way forward. So with your agreement, Emile, I'm going to ask Dumasani to get straight into that, and then we can have the conversation. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much, Minister. Good evening to everyone. Just from where the Minister has left off, it's just to express our sincere apologies. I think most people here just know me through the emails. I've received a number of emails here. So, but just a bit quick of a background is that the property itself, it has about 7 improvements, the big one being the subs garage, and then there's 6 houses, 3 of which are vacant, and then, is it better now? Yes, yeah. As I was saying, that the property is allocated to our client department, which is SAPS. Previously, they used to, they occupied the entire property. But in the main, as we speak now, what is occupied is the government garage, SAPS garage, and then 3 dwellings. And then we have 3 that are vacant, which are problematic and the eyesore to the community. So what we have done, as the Minister has alluded to, that we have since obtained a court order and then and the eviction. But what we then did, which is something that we need to acknowledge, we have then deployed the security to come and guard the houses. What we have since done is that there were continuous complaints from the community. In the main, you will find that there is nothing much happening in the houses themselves, but it's more on the open land. Okay, the back in the house. Okay.
In the wrecks.
In the
Wreckage. In those rooms, we'll take you out of them.
Okay, certainly. We will certainly do
We'll
that.
get into that.
Yeah, and because from the reports that we get, but I do have the colleagues from the security division whom have insisted that they be here so that we see those things. So one, we will deal with that. But two, as of next month, I think which is next week, we've beefed up the security that we will also add 2 additional security who will patrol with the dogs. At least we think that will be a deterrent. And then we're also going to improve on the fence just to have the spikes on top. We want to believe that will be a deterrent. I think the increase in the number of the security personnel. Insofar as the demolition, our investment analysis some time back made a determination that we need to demolish those 3 structures. But because of the heritage issues, compliance, that has been a very, very big challenge. One, Heritage Western Cape insisted on us getting a specialist, a heritage architect. Because of the value of the work, it has been very, very difficult to procure such services. We have tried to source the services of the heritage specialist. At least on 3 occasions, we are on 0. So what we have then tried to do is to engage with the heritage themselves, Heritage Western Cape, to assist us from their own database, just to see if we could get someone who will be able to accept the assignment at hand. So that is one area. Secondly, like the minister has already alluded to that last year we put out a tender process, which then was deemed to be non-compliant with the Treasury regulation. So that process, we're going to restart it. Like the minister has said, there is a special division that has been created within the department. It's not mainly official. So far, their turnaround time is far better than the normal departmental processes. I think also the minister has also established a division within the department, which is called SSDU, Special Service Delivery Unit, of which the turnaround time and the processes that they follow are far much improved than those of the conventional departmental processes. So we think with that it will be far better in terms of the turnaround time. But also the City of Cape Town has also came into board insofar as upping the status of the heritage value. They've also commented on the heritage aspect of that entire property, especially the Waterloo and so on. So meaning the heritage requirements are very, very significant. So we have to ensure that we do follow that to the latter, so that we do not get any objections, because even if you were to get the services of the architect without the endorsement of the heritage Western Cape, it will be difficult to move. So in terms of the interventions, we are saying we're going to improve in terms of the number of security guards. We will have 6 as 1st of March, 2 of which will be roaming with the dogs. And then also we will improve on the fence so that it also becomes a deterrent. And then one of the houses that is in a fair condition, we have received a request from the Department of Justice that they want to use it, but we are still just looking into how do we make it habitable for them so that they are able to use that the house. And then also one thing that we take into account now, that the migrants are back, we will certainly deal with that as a matter of with immediate effect. I'm just trying to quickly summarize on the issues.
Dumasani, can you maybe just talk to us on the work with SAPS and Metro, just to try and control that?
Yes, I think what we would do, perhaps that's where the gap would have been, is that when we placed the security, but we never had a proper engagement with SAPS and the law enforcement from the City of Cape Town. So what we're going to do now, Franz, he works in the security division, he's already started to make contact with the law enforcement agencies. What we want to do, the company that we're going to appoint is from 1st of March, is to ensure that there is that working collaboration with SAPS in the event they need to call for their immediate assistance insofar as to, to come and assist in the event there are problems. But also, we want to ensure that we also have those signs of no trespass. Previously, we had, but they were removed by the migrants. But we want to believe that with an increased capacity and then also a collaboration with law enforcement agencies, because on the sign of no trespassing, I think the securities will be able to register the cases so that those migrants can be taken away immediately. And then one other thing that we're going to do on regular basis. Today we have appointed, they were supposed to have started on Saturday, but I believe they started today. Just the clearing of the vegetation and the overgrown grass. That is something that we want to do more regularly. So it will be dependent, but we will provide a schedule, whether it's going to be monthly or quarterly. But at least every now and then we will be cutting the grass as they've started today, so that it becomes an ongoing thing. Because also when there's overgrown grass, it also becomes a fertile ground for easy invasion, and people can hide in between the bushes. We would have received pictures of those makeshift houses. So all of that is being cleared. I'm certain they will finish tomorrow, but it is something that we commit that as we go into the new financial year, we're going to be doing it more regularly. It will either be monthly or every bi-monthly. Minister, I think I have tried to summarize everything, unless maybe then we will take the questions in terms of what we have prepared.
Tax or Metro when I say it first?
So the minister's asked if SAPS or law enforcement wants to add to anything here this evening. I think it's very important that the regional manager has actually mentioned this partnership, because that's what's been missing all this time. Our efforts have been disjointed, there haven't been coordinated efforts, and I think it's really important that we have everybody on board so that we can deal with the issue holistically rather than piecemeal. So Lieutenant Colonel Frank is coming up, and he'll probably give us some more information on that. Thank you, sir.
Good evening, everybody. Let me just do my due diligence today. Good evening. Yes, I'm Lieutenant Colonel Frank. I'm a lead commander here by Wynberg SAPS. Colonel Kleinsmith, as you know him better. He is the Wissel commander. He's currently on vacation leave, so I'm assisting up until the 16th of March. Then I will be until he comes back. So yes, what we are here for, the topic is now obviously about the partnership. SAPS can't do anything by themselves. We need that partnership. So my personal view on behalf of Wynberg, we will welcome that, definitely. And there's Captain Wynberg sitting. They are responsible for the operational plans. So we will conduct that operational plans together. We will have operational meetings and discuss all core issues that we need to discuss in line with our crime threat analysis, and whatever crime occurs here, we will address it accordingly so that we ensure ensure the safety of the entire community that has this problem with the mentioned crimes. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And then I'm going to call on Principal Inspector Dry from Metro Police so that he can also add what his contribution is. I think the most important thing is that we all come together and share information, our contact details, so that we can start, acting together. So, Principal Inspector, thank you so much.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Principal Inspector Nelson Dry. I'm responsible for policing within Sub-Council 20. Waterloo has become a challenge to us as well as law enforcement. We've reacted to many complaints that have been lodged through the C3 and the 107 hotline number. The challenge that we have with regards to the vagrants at Waterloo is that we have continuously removed the vagrants from Waterloo. And for a day or two later, they obviously return. So it's an ongoing problem that we have tried to address through our DPU, Displacement People Unit, where they go out to Waterloo, break down the structures, remove the structures, and also clean up the area. So our cleansing department has also assisted tremendously in keeping the Waterloo area clean. We haven't really had any criminal activities within Waterloo. We've had people connect illegally to electricity from the electrical boxes, but we've also dealt with that through our electrical department. And we've also profiled most of the people at the Waterloo Park. So we've together with SAPS, we've had numerous operations within that precinct. But as I said, it's an ongoing problem, but we are keeping our hands on it so that it actually doesn't become a bigger problem. When I initially started in South Council 20, that park was full of structures, full of vagrants. It's looking a bit better, but it's not being eradicated. So we are doing the best as we can, but hopefully the minister will come up with a more reputable or workable solution where we can also get on board and deal with that. Thank you.
No questions. Let's hold the powder dry. So I think it's also at this point a very good opportunity for me just to communicate what I'm doing from my side in the park. I know that's the most visible thing that you see on a daily basis, and I understand that it's absolutely annoying that we can't seem to just get rid of people. But that is what we are. That is our struggle right now. We can't just get rid of people. We can't just move people off. When they've set up a structure, we just can't shift them off. And that is, I'm sure you people know that that comes from a court case against the city of Cape Town where we did move people and we were told by a judge not to do that, and if we ever do that again, we do have the risk of being taken to court for that. So we can't do that anymore. What we do need to do is, if we are moving people away from the property, we have to ensure that there is somewhere for them to go, and that's the difficult part, because where do we actually put them? But just from my side, the solutions that I've presented to for the park is to get the school to actually lease the property. And that's what we've been working on for a while now, but we're hitting a snag with the electricity department because there is an electricity cable running through there. If you see there are lights along there, along the park. And if there's lights, there's an electricity cable, and that has to be moved because of the risk that it presents to, if they were to fence it off, then kids are going to be on there, and that's going to be a risk to them. They need to move that infrastructure now. So we kind of between, the officials saying they need to do it, we need to do it, they need to give us a different plan. We need to. All of that is not your problem. The problem is I just need to find a way to expedite the matter so that we can get this done, and so that the school can actually lease the property, fence it off. But I want to just warn that is not going to be the final solution, because I know from past experience that movement of homeless people is very unpredictable. They might go down the road into the corner and settle there. We need to come together as a community as well and try and find out lasting solutions for that too. And I know that's a big ask, because I've racked my brain and I've tried to think of future scenarios of what might happen, where they could go, and there's just too many variables involved. I just can't tell exactly where they're going to go. So from your side, I would love to engage with that at some future date to try and find solutions to that. But the immediate solution is for the school to lease it. And I'm still pursuing that avenue. I've been speaking with Alderman Xanthia Limburg, the MACO member for energy, and she's kind of working in the background with the officials to try and get this through this red tape Gordian knot that we find ourselves in. So, just from my side, that's my assurance of what is happening with regards to the park itself, and hopefully we'll get to a solution very soon. At this stage, I think we're going to go on to Q&A. So what we're going to do is, please, I think that if you're at the back, we've got a corded mic, so you're going to have to come around this way. If you are in the front, I'm going to start with the front, and then, oh, you do that, sorry, Craig. There's a mic at the back. So I see a gentleman's hand up already. Please just state your name clearly so that we can write it down and we can answer your questions. Thank you.
I just wanted to correct the inspector. He says that homeless people are not doing any crimes, they're doing drugs there on a daily basis. So the last time I remember that is a crime. 5 o'clock in the morning, and I run past there for any time of the day. So it's not make it feel happy. Number two, the possibility of fencing off that area like has been done at Wynberg Upper. What's the possibility of that as a solution until you find something else to do?
Well, that's the solution. I'll keep that for later. Yes.
Hi, my name is Sam and I live in Waterloo Road. Just to layer on to what the previous gentleman said, we're now in the month of Ramadan and there are a lot of night runs happening across Cape Town. One of them comes through Waterloo Road, and sadly, last year people were robbed on the road, even though there were, people sort of doing a security function along the route. So just to note, that is still a challenge. I'm also a runner, and running past Waterloo Green is like your life is in your own hands, and it shouldn't be in the neighborhood I live in. My question to you, Minister Macpherson, is I think it was 2022, Emil, towards the end of November, when we appeared before the portfolio committee and did our presentations, etc., as a community. So this challenge, it's been going on for a very, very long time. And I'm interested to know what your view is on the timeline of this being resolved. If you were so close in December, how long do you think this is still going to be going on? Because security interventions cost money. The problem is not going away, it's not safe. So I'm really keen to understand timeline, please.
We have a gentleman at the back there, right?
Sorry, I just didn't get that name.
Minhaj.
Minaj.
I stay on the blue road. I stay opposite Waterloo Green. I have a couple of questions. The first one is on due process. So, Councillor Emil, I think, very clearly outlined the process for removing people who occupy public space. My question, I think it's to staff, whether that process was followed. Firstly, every instance when people were removed, was there a court order? Secondly, were people, homeless people who were occupying space, were they moved to alternative accommodation? And if not, why not? And I think that does need to be the case. Tiny mentioned that people are going to be removed again, so I think due process needs to be followed. Second, I think the fundamental problem is homelessness. That's the problem. I think the way that homelessness is spoken about by Councillor Udi is a bit problematic. And when this space is a public space, the minister said that it needs to be used for the benefit of the community. I think that's incorrect. I think it needs to be used for the benefit of the public. It's an essential space. It's close to SAPS, the magistrates court, close to two incredible parks. It's close to one of the major taxi ranks in Cape Town, home affairs. It should be used for social good. So I don't think, and I don't think that the minister will be fulfilling his duty if it's auctioning, if it's bid out. I think the minister's department needs to figure out how it can be used for things like social housing. I understand that the minister has an agreement with human settlements as well, that public spaces will be prioritized for affordable housing and human settlements. So I think that needs to be the solution, and that needs to be what we rally around for.
Thank you. Craig, can we just come over? Sorry, I'm going to start with you, and then I'll go to Philippa, and then to the gentleman at the back.
Hi, my name is Sabine. I live in the part of Cabin Road below the SAPS garage, and I think that my immediate neighbours and I would love to know your plan of leasing that property to the school. Is a lovely plan, but what is the plan for the interim to secure that property? Because what we have a lot is these people from this area and these houses are using the river that they can access in that property to come over our back fences. And that is where I know a lot of us are having a big issue with this property beyond just the drug use and the increase in the crime.
From the WRA. Just a few things about the property. It has 3 different heritage restrictions on it, 3A, 3B, 3C, depending on what one's talking about. I don't know the exact details, that's for someone who actually sits in that department to figure it out. There are things that can be done on that property and there are things that can't be done on that property. The parts that you can develop are the parts where there are currently buildings. You cannot develop elsewhere. So anyone getting big ideas about sort of putting a massive housing project in, it's not going to happen. There are trees on that property that are protected. There is a river on that property which is protected. You cannot pave over it because you cannot basically choke out the lungs of the property. If there are areas to be paved, there have to be areas that have grass growing through them. One of the big problems, and it has existed for centuries, is Wynberg is essentially one large river. If you do not take that into account, you end up with problems. There is also a relatively simple way to get the demolition things in order. It has to be done in the correct 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tick boxes. It is a plan that is there and it has to be followed. Believe it or not, the city is the one who has to initiate it within themselves before anything can be done. It then has to go to Heritage Western Cape, and ultimately someone at provincial level has to put on their big gold panties and put their name to the project. It is about as simple and complicated as that.
I can see everyone's had a run-in with Heritage at some point or another.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Laura Yeffer, the previous principal of Simon van der Staal Primary School.
Nice to see you.
Yeah.
So many emails.
So we've really been trying our best to rent the park because we need space. We have only so much space, and our grade R to 7 learners all play together on the rugby field. We really need the space for our learners. We are growing school. End of last year, I did our first application to the WCD were turned down. End of last year, I did receive an email from the WCD, Brent Walters, that they will look at our application again. So there's now a few steps that we need to get in place. I spoke to Susan from the city, working with the electricity. They are willing to help us to move the light, the street light that is in the pole. And they're really working hard on that, especially Susan. We need, the department's point was that the school, we are not a rich school, we are in a rich area, but we have children from middle to lower income householdings. So the WCED's thing was, why don't you put the money that you want to rent the park with and to move the light, because the school needs to pay for the removal of the light, which we will do. Or if there's anyone here that can help, we can do that. We can do that quickly. We just need to get the application now again into the department, but we need somebody to sponsor the school for the rent. If I remember correctly, it is not a lot of money to rent the park. It's a yearly amount of, I think, between 3,000 and 4,000 rand. They want us to rather use the money for the children and for resources for the children, etc. Although it is really necessary for our children to rent the park. The second question, we need then to fence the park, and that is a lot of money. There was 2 people contacted the current principal regarding the sponsorship of fencing of the park. I'm not sure, I won't mention their names now, but or anybody who has a plan, so that we can now go forward. I need the names of a sponsor for my application to the department. So before I can send that application in, I need people who can sponsor the school, either with the removal of the light, and then also the fencing of the park. There was horrible things happening there, which our children see daily. It's such a matter that I had to go out and say, please do your drugs in another place. Our children is looking down on you. There's really horrible smells because there's no pollution. They use it next to the fence. And sometimes there's fights breaking out there, and all inside of our children. It's just not acceptable anymore. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mrs. Yefer, and I hope that your call is going around today and somebody is thinking of possibly a sponsor for that. Mr. Pullman, sorry, and then I'm going to go to this lady. Sorry, you? No, I'm looking behind you. Okay, Mr. Pullman.
Good evening. My name is Cedric Pullman. I'm the head here at Wynberg Boys Junior. When we speak of Waterloo Green and the property, we're speaking of the strip in front of. I live opposite Waterloo Green in Waterloo Road, the park, that property. And what are the considerations for the bigger tract of land, the one which comes up into Cavan Road? Are we speaking? Is that it's 2 different conversations? Am I correct in saying so? So it goes back till 2017 with the school, the first bid that we made on that, and then there was a subsequent one, and then the Department of Public Works said they had taken it out of the bid process and we should make a proposal, which we did, and went through the costings and yeah. we almost 10 years down the line, and it's just deteriorated. Had it been given to us as custodians of it at that time, none of us would have been in this situation now. And on the last occasion when it had been withdrawn from tender in 2025, that time frame was so tight from when we received notification and the process that we needed to go through. As a school, it became too onerous for the 4 schools combined to even do that. That the bid document works on a point system, and you need to illustrate what value you're going to develop the property for, which then, like I said, became too onerous for us, and we, the month that was allowed, I think maybe 6 weeks, just ran away with us, and we couldn't get it together. And now we sit with this property, and back to square one, where we're going back to a tender process again. I don't know if I'm in a position to do this, but I mean, if it was given to us tomorrow to say, take care of the property whilst the Department of Public Works sorted itself out, we certainly would do that and consider, sort of partnering in some sort of way. If there's development going to happen in 10 years' time, we're going to end up in a worse off situation if we don't act now. And we'd like to be part of that solution as a school. I think the neighbours would like us to also be part of the solution, maybe alleviate some traffic issues and the like. It's just to say it's not like nothing has happened. There's constantly been work on this, but we end up back at square one. And our appeal to yourself and to the minister is that we try and kick this can down the road somehow, and get to a point where we don't speak about the Waterloo, the park in isolation, but the entire tract of land, which if we were to go out here now, we'd see it's as big a problem with drug use and a open toilet and a risk to parents, boys and girls walk up and down past here, and just a general security risk for all of us.
Thank you, Mr. Pullman. My name is David Hoffman. I live at 5 Ellerslie Road, across from Waterloo Green. Can you hear me now? So, just in terms of the vagrants, there were vagrants that were evicted, I think it was last year or the year before. All of those vagrants have returned. So they were given alternative accommodation, but they've all returned. And the reason they've returned is because they can make a living. And their living is through crime. So I think that's an issue that needs to be considered. Because like Emile says, it's easy to get rid of them, but it's not so easy to stop them from coming back. And so that's the issue there. The other issue is, I'm wondering about the economic viability of redeveloping those burnt down houses. Because if you say a house is going to cost 10 million rand or whatever to build, you're not going to get that money back.
It's off the table. We're not doing that.
No, so I mean, why does Heritage have to get involved? Can't you just go to them and say to them, look, guys, come have a look. It's not economically viable. There is no heritage value anymore. Just knock them down. And maybe you can build one house that has.
I agree with you, by the way.
I mean, it just makes sense. I can't understand why it's a heritage issue. There's nothing left of those buildings. Nothing. One more thing. It's just a statement. So there's a spot in the Viber Creek wall here where the guys climb over, and I go and put my head in there from time to time, and I can see some tents going up and stuff like that. Then I walk around the block to the security that sits here in the corner house. I fetch them and I say, please, can you come with me? And I walk all the way back again to where those people are. And so the security knows that they're there here. And one of two things is happening with the security. The one thing might be that they're being paid to turn a blind eye, and the other thing might be that they're being threatened to turn a blind eye. So I think that we need to question the validity of having people sitting in houses as security when all this other stuff is going on the outside. Thank you, that's all.
Thank you, Mr. Hoffman. I empathize with you in terms of the heritage issue. I've got a property in Wynberg on the corner of Main and Riverstone Road, which used to be called La Plaisance. And the house is down to its foundations, and we still need heritage approval to get rid of it. That's where we're sitting right now. So it's a complicated matter and something that we really need to kind of deal with.
Good evening, my name's Simon. I live in Cavan Road, very close to this young lady behind me. All the talk since we've all gathered here was about the park, but I think it's not sufficient just to say the park. I think you've got to include the river, the canal, because those two are integral to each other, and all of us who live in Cavan Road have spent an arm and a leg trying to secure the backs of our properties, sometimes not very successfully, against invasion from these people coming down the canal and climbing over our fences. And I think you've got to keep the river in your mind, because that actually is a serious problem as well. The second thing I'd like to say is the old saying about constant dripping wears out stone. If we have security who stops every person who looks as though they're sitting down on the side of the road and moves them on. I take my dog with my daughter, and I would take the dog for a walk. There's human excrement on the pavement in Cavan Road. We walk up Electric Road, human excrement all the way up. They turn into Court Road, and there's more of it up there. So obviously the people are sleeping on the pavement, which we know, and yet nobody does anything about it. The security services don't do anything about it. Come down very early on any morning down Ellerslie Road, and half of them are still in bed. And I think if you move them on all around, not only on the roads here, but in the areas where they are now a problem, I think you'll start getting people saying it's not worth it being here. And one last thing I'd just like to say, I think it's horrendous that the school has to raise money to move a lamp pole and to maybe put up a fence. It's just garbage. It's unacceptable. It's not for personal gain. It's for a school and for the kids. That to me, I love the way she spoke. I just think it's horrible that she had to say what she said. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Werner van Ketz. I know some of you as neighbours. Nice to see you. Simon, Nikki, Sabine, Joe. I'm one of the Cavan neighbours on the bottom, near Ellerslie Road. For my sins, I've been chairman of the governing body at the junior school. I'm currently on the governing body at the high school. Wynberg Old Boy, lived in this area most of my life, and I've seen the deterioration in the 10 years that we've been here. I'm a founder member of the Wynberg Neighbours for Change WhatsApp group, which most of you probably are on. I'm one of the admin, Dave's the other. And we've been trying to solve this for a long time. I'm not here to ambush the minister in any way or the councillor, but I have a proposal that I'd like to just leave with you. So I'm tabling a proposal. If you give me 2 minutes, I'll outline the elevator pitch, and I'd just like to leave you with that as a thought. So in essence, I'm aware that we have heritage. We have to make a deal with heritage. We have conservation overlay. We have to make a deal with conservation. We have an unemployment problem. But what most of you might not know is that we have a massive staff shortage at the schools. And in that, I mean finding young teachers, qualified teachers who come in at government level 2, 1, I don't know, but they are not highly paid. They cannot afford to live anywhere near the schools there. We have 6 schools, Springfield, 4 Wynbergs, and Simon van der Stel. Conservatively, I believe there are 40 to 50 teachers who would fall into that bucket of desperately needing, I'm not using subsidized, but an affordable accommodation option. My proposal in a nutshell is, with the heritage overlay, with the conservation overlay, without rezoning new urban, that a developer me perhaps, somebody with more knowledge, more guts, more money, that I've thrown my hat in the ring to develop those 6 urban into 50, 60, 70 residential units. And I don't know all the laws, but if we could somehow put them in the right kind of trust that a teacher or a nurse from 2 Mill or Victoria or a clerk of the court at Wynberg, a civil servant below a certain pay grade gets preferential treatment. That would solve a housing problem. It would build a precinct. The river would become part of a conservation area as landscape gardens for these 6 small blocks of 3-story flats, not building Claremont Atlantic Seaboard multi-million rand apartments. These are homes for young families who are starting out their careers. I've spoken to some of the principals. That's from sitting on the boards, that's how I've come across that problem. So it is a huge, ambitious target. We've got 2 buildings that are heritage, that are derelict, and 1 that desperately needs attention. A developer will keep 1 restored for permission to knock the other 2 down. That's part of the deal. Fencing the ground for the school is a rounding error on this type of project and solves one of the biggest problems. But the longer term problem is that the bigger second earth, which Mr. Pullman refers to as the between Waterloo Green and Cavan Road. So I have a proposal here. It's very early stages, but it's to think about the solution. It's house and teachers. It's not a profit-making scheme. It's a passion project. Saves the government the amount of money they're paying on security guards. I estimate over R1 million a year at the moment. If we're going to add any more guards, it's going to be more than that. That's your and my tax money being wasted for the last 4 or 5 years. So I'm open to people speaking to me about this. Hopefully I can get an audience with the powers that be. But with that, thank you very much for all the continued efforts. Everybody who's spoken to police, who's turned up at community meetings, part of the community forum, keeping us all safe. And I, for one, would welcome a viable option. Perhaps even as they do in the UK, any developments do have low income or a government portion. The most expensive flats that are built in the river in London have a few council flats at the bottom. We should explore all options. Might solve some of that accommodation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, everybody. Sorry, this meeting is only an hour long, so and I've already run past my time. I'm going to ask the minister and the regional manager just to answer questions that are related to them, and I will answer questions related. Sorry. Yes. Okay. Okay. Sure.
Nothing about us without us. My name is Zwelengosi Ngiti, under the organization called Eagle Eye for People with Disability and Other Human Rights. First of all, Minister, we are disabled, we are not animals. We are people like another people. We are not animals sitting there with the animals. We separate the disability with other people. But you are the Minister of Public Works. I thought, but I was, okay. No, wait a second. Okay, wait a second. I'm coming as a community to participate here. I send a message to the minister. I'm a disability. Yes, first of all, we are speaking the pain I have as a disability. Minister, we're supposed to participate because there is no access to come outside in the building. Before you organize the building, you must think we are the community, we are in the community, you must organize the building, they have access to the person with disabilities. I'm so surprised for the Department of Public Works to win their things because the public works is the motherboard. Thanks so much.
I'm going to give you my personal apology because I didn't think of that. I arranged this venue and I didn't actually think about people with disabilities. So I do apologize for that. I just didn't think about access for disabled people. So I'm going to hand over to the Minister. Thank you.
Thanks. And I think that's a welcomed apology, Emile, and absolutely we must always make sure that anyone is able to access a public meeting. Let me say thank you for the questions and the comments that have been made. And I've listened carefully to the inputs, and I think that there are, Dumasani and I were just talking as you were sort of providing issues to us, so we can try and live troubleshoot some of the issues. I think, as I see it, ladies and gentlemen, I think that there's got to be two solutions here. There's got to be an interim solution and a long-term solution. And Cedric, I really want to initiate a conversation with yourself and see what it is that us as the department and yourself as the school can initiate, at least as an interim solution. And I think that there is some value in that, which Dumasani agrees with me. When it comes to the variety of options that have been put on the table about a long-term solution, I don't think it would be appropriate for me to say, I agree with that or I don't agree with that. Because that is a public participation process that has to take place that I then have to, either agree or disagree with. But I can assure you that whatever that is, there will be a public participation process in. And I just want to say that, and as Dumasani and I have agreed, that I want the security plan for that property to be reviewed. Clearly what is going on there at the moment, or what we are paying for, we're paying for security and we clearly don't have the desired results, at least of securing the property. And so I have asked for some inputs from that, and and I've made this clear as well, that I want a more tactical focused security establishment there, but a company from this area, Dumasani, a company that actually deals with the security of this community, so that there's some, or you're a security man?
There's a big guy behind this
Dumasani will answer that. But I've said that I want a local security company here that actually is able to deal with that. I think obviously issues of fencing, security, all of that is really important. And I take cognizant, ma'am, of your inputs, particularly during this important month as well. And I think, Dumasani, we need to see in the interim, maybe if we can get the dates also of when these night runs are taking place, we can also just try and step up the security along Waterloo Road. Let me just say this. I've been very clear as the Minister of Public Works that no individual in this country has the right to unlawfully occupy state land and state assets. No one has that right. And we as a department are very firm that anyone who does do that, they will have to go and answer before the law. And that's why we've been very clear that anyone who does do that, we will go and seek evictions for them in terms of law, and we are involved in now a number of applications. Why people oppose those applications, that is a question for another day. But the issue of homelessness has to also be seen against, and I know Councillor Emile will speak about this, I think the city spends 250 million rand a year now on providing alternative accommodation. But the reality is that there are individuals that after being offered that still don't want that. And that is something that needs to be contemplated. What do you do in that instance? What do you do in an instance where someone has been evicted from a property, offered an opportunity for a shelter and to try and assist them and still refuse that? And so I know that the Metro Police and SAPS, they conduct themselves in a lawful way, in a lawful manner, when it does require individuals to be removed, but we certainly cannot accept as a department our assets being hijacked or being unlawfully occupied. And so we will continue to protect those assets to the extent that we can within the confines of the law. Let me say this also, that I think hearing things of drugs being done, we must not just treat that as a norm. We can't accept that. If that park is being used to either sell drugs or to use drugs, that our law enforcement agencies need to deal with very strongly. Because I can tell you something, and I come from another place where public spaces and public assets were allowed to degenerate to the point that entire suburbs then degenerate because of that asset. And that's why I've been so clear that our assets cannot be public nuisances, but they must be able to add value to the communities in which they find themselves in. So I will also start on my afternoon and evening walk, start walking down Waterloo Road and Carvin Place, and I will start phoning you, Dumisani, if I see wrong things going on there. So I've spoken about an interim solution, and I think that that's helpful. And I also want to say this. I do not believe it would be in the long-term interest to have what has been burnt down there to be rebuilt, or to what is there to be offered to other client departments, because I think it then creates a problem when we start sectionalizing that, and I'm not sure that sectionalizing that area is going to work. I think we have to look at it as one urban and what to do with it going forward. So the lady, I think it was, you asked timeline. That's always the dreaded word that a politician gets asked, because we say a number and then we get held to it. So I have said that there are a couple of things that I want from Dumisani. I want an updated security plan. I want an engagement with the school. And then, what was the other thing, Dumisani? Yeah, so the interim plan. Well, that will come from our engagement with the school. And then I would like to suggest, I said a week, but Dumisani's face froze when I said that. So I would like to then provide feedback to the councillor in the next 4 weeks, so we can have those discussions. I can get the updated security plan, and that we can actually understand what it is that we then propose. So at least we're able to stabilise the situation, and then we can then get some feedback from yourselves on what that is. So that would be my proposal to you. Obviously, we are here to have this conversation. It's not a one-way engagement. So I would like to propose that. Oh, and also, Dumisani, if we get the dates for the night runs during Ramadan, we can also just assist there. And then once we have that, I'll give that to Councillor. He can then feed that back to your WhatsApp group. I try and avoid WhatsApp groups. Please don't add me to any. I've got enough. But I'm sure that he will disseminate that into the WhatsApp groups, and then hopefully that will just then provide some way forward. On the long term, what to do, I'm very deliberate that we've taken this issue on re-tendering or re-proposing it actually out of where it was previously. And Dumisani's just given me some things that he would like just to make his job a little bit easier. So we can then try and get that public participation process. We did receive 3 bids previously in the cancelled one, and that's all I do know. I know that the school wasn't one of them this time. I'm not sure why that is, but we will then go back and we will advertise them, etc., etc. And I do hope that that is done by at least the middle of this year, that we will begin that process again. And then hopefully by the end of this year, we will then be able to start a process of public engagement and what to do, etc., etc. So that would be my honest timeline to you. I don't want to give you false hope, and I hope that that would be met with your acceptance. Dumisani, I will ask you if there's anything you would like to respond to. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister. I think the minister has covered almost all the issues that have been raised, but I think it is prudent that we highlight the fact that we take cognizance of all the issues that have been raised, and particularly to the struggles of the community. But I think what is important for us is just at least the main three things, just to reiterate what the minister has said. We're going to review the security plan. I think first thing in tomorrow, we're going to review even the earlier report that I gave, that we're going to be having 6 security companies with 2 dogs. So that was a normal security company. So we're going to review that. The minister has given us the clear directions that because we have 2. We have the normal security and we have the tactical. And experience has shown where there's tactical, there's been better control on that. So that gives us immediate stability. So that at least when we deploy the tactical, there will be immediate stability. Secondly, we're going to commit to further improve in terms of the cleaning of the facility. As we are taking stabilizing, also that will run parallel with the cleaning. And I think the last part is what the minister has referred to, that we will be engaging the school immediately. But what we would also commit to do in the timelines as given by the minister of the 4 weeks, we would ensure that at least on a weekly basis we give updates. So that as and when we improve on the security, that will be reported accordingly. As to when the cleaning will happen, that will be reported accordingly. And I'm certain through the councillor, the engagements with the school will be reported there, and then it will be disseminated to the community. Thank you very much.
Sorry, should I see the security company is it a government cadre appointment, or is it a real security company?
What is the name of the company, Dumisani, the current one?
The current one, it is called Ellerslie Security Services, whose term is coming to an end of this month.
So can you repeat the name?
It's Ellerslie Security Services. Ellerslie Security Services. Yes.
Yes. So
we have a panel of the security companies. Yes.
I think, if I can say this, I've asked that a local company is looked at so that there's integration in here. Obviously we would just need to see what's on the panel. We are guided by Treasury regulation in order to do. I can't just say, you look like you have the biggest firearms, you can do it. So there is a process that we have to follow, but I'm going to just understand what that is, and that'll be part of the report back and the security plan.
Because I can tell you ADT are way better than the other guys.
I'm going to say anything about that.
About local security, Bears in partnership with the WID do an excellent job. They're incredibly responsive. I know that this falls outside of the WID area, but honestly, your lowest hanging fruit is to deal with WID and Bears and find some way just to extend to that space. Might be your cheapest as well.
I'll just say many a politician have fallen getting involved in tenders and appointments.
And we pay for that.
Yeah. Okay.
We really pay for that service.
Okay, but it would be an extension of their service, which would be an extra contract, which would be external to the Wynberg Improvement District. Yes, the Wynberg Improvement District.
Okay, I do pay for that.
Yes, you do.
It's on my rates. Let's not bring that up.
I just want to respond to Minaj. Yes, you are here. You spoke about homelessness and the prevalence of homelessness in Wynberg. I've done everything I possibly can to try and intervene in the homeless space. And what I mean by that is the reason why there is a U-turn in Wynberg is because I initiated that conversation 2 years ago with John Hopkins from U-turn, and then walked through that whole process of raising funds, going to meetings, asking people for donations, etc., going to the mayoral fund, getting 250,000 Rand, and then getting them set up 2 years afterwards. So they are now set up at the Methodist Church in Church Street, and they currently have 16 regular people now part of their program. That's 16 people off the streets now. So it sounds like a small number, but it's the beginning, because once those people go through the program, they get through the program, they will then go out to the streets and start speaking to other homeless people, and that's how they communicate and sort of get people onto the program again. So that's one thing. The other thing is the Haven Night Shelter is going to increase their beds. Shortly, we've just approved the seating of the 3 urban surrounding the the Haven Night Shelter, so that they can extend their property and extend the amount of beds that are available to homeless people. So that's another solution that's going to be implemented there, and that's funded by the City of Cape Town as well. Personally, I head up not an organization, I think it's more like a committee, but it's with organizations within Wynberg and elsewhere, in Councillor Franklin's ward as well. I've kidnapped a couple of her people, and they work in the homeless space. So that committee is called the Homeless Alliance, and what we do there is try to kind of break down the silos that we have, especially with organizations doing their own thing in different ways, and bringing all those resources together and trying to get that working together, and also to create a referral network so that if we come across people that do require assistance, we just pop it on our WhatsApp group. There are many people there that can advise us. They tell us exactly where we can refer somebody to, and that works. And it's happened a few times already. So there are interventions in Wynberg with regards to that, although, as the Minister has said, there are those that just don't want assistance, they don't want help. And that's where the law is going to have to come in. So I have to do the soft touch, and I have to be the bad guy as well. Because for those that don't want to move or vacate the property, then we're going to have to use the law to make that happen. And as you can see at the Constantia Emporium, there's an entire settlement there. We were fortunate enough to get an eviction over there. And once that happens, we are going to insist that that property is secured so that they don't actually go back on. And I think that's kind of just a plus for us. But the process itself, the eviction process, it's a long process. It takes up to about 18 months, even 2 years. And it's a difficult one, it's an expensive one. And when we get it, we have to ensure that it doesn't happen again. You've heard that from, Mrs. Siefer is gone now. Oh, there she is. You've heard from Mrs. Siefer that there are some issues that we need to deal with there. And as I said, I'm working with Alderman Xanthia Limburg so that we can get past this whole bureaucratic mess that we are in right now. I'm going to try and kind of push and nudge so that we can get certain things happening without having to be paid for. So we'll see what happens there. Right, I think we have run out of time. And I must say thank you so much to the Minister and for the regional manager for coming out and for insisting on having this meeting, Minister. Thank you so much. It's really appreciated, and as a resident, that adds even more value because you are invested in Wynberg. So I truly do appreciate you being here. Really invested. Thank you so much, and thank you everybody for coming this evening. It has been very, very productive. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.